welcome to the show, Toni, and tell me, what is an angelic human?
Well, thank you, Michelle. It's wonderful to be here. An angelic human is not an angel with wings, to start with. A lot of people say, when am I going to get my wings, you know? It's an angel. The word angel means messenger. And the word human, interestingly enough, if you do a little etymology research, means God in form. Hu is an ancient word for God. It goes way back, hundreds of thousands of years. Man, of course, is Homo sapien. So we have source and form with a message. So everyone has the capacity to be an angelic human. The question is, are you ready and willing to bring your message forward? Because sometimes that means that you have to step up to the plate and outside of the conventions of mass consciousness, mass mind, and that can be scary.
Yeah, I think what's so difficult for people is they, in theory, get it. People that are on a consciousness or spiritual path get it. But then to actually live it day to day is what's more difficult. You know, what ideas do you have for us, for those of us, you know, that have busy working lives? How can you bring that and actually live that day to day?
Well, the first thing I always tell people, and some people kind of balk at this, but once you do it, you'll become addicted, is to spend at least half an hour a day in silence with yourself. And I was a single mother. I raised 2 children by myself, and my children knew that when I had my half hour a day, you don't knock on the door unless the house is burning down, you know, so that you have half an hour where you're just absolutely silent with yourself, not thinking thoughts or planning, you know, or being alone with you, so that you can feel, literally feel, the yearning that is in your heart to express. Now, whatever that expression is, whatever that passion is, whatever that yearning says to you, is your message. And it can be anything from, one woman told me it was working with the elephants in Africa, and she was a counselor in a school in the desert, you know, to wanting to get up on a stage and teach people meditation. I mean, it doesn't really make any difference. Whatever your message is, if you're conveying it through the vibration of what you are, then you know that. You feel fulfilled.
Okay, so half hour of silence doesn't have to be meditation, just quiet time.
Just quiet, so that you can be away from the day-to-day, you know, what's going on in your life, because we all lead really, really busy lives. And to take time out and say, all right, what is this busyness really, you know, giving me, short of a roof over my head and food on the table, hopefully. What is it? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. What is it really giving me from the standpoint of me? What if all this disappeared? Which, as we're watching the economy, the world, the revolutions, everything's disappearing, which is this huge transformational change. What do I need for me to really value myself exactly as I am, without the titles or the, you know, I'm a mother, I'm a worker, I'm a chef, I'm a whatever you are. You know, without that.
So what does this have to do with, like, life purpose or divine purpose? Is, you know, if you're tuning in and you're getting a calling and listening, is this a day-to-day answer that you're talking about, or is it a big life purpose that you're talking about?
The answer is yes. So if you think about it, I'm a great one. My partner Philip always says, I need to wear an eye patch, you know, like the pirate. I'm a great one for taking things and dismantling them, because most of the belief systems that we all live with are just, they're control systems. They're not beliefs. They're just somebody trying to control somebody to make something happen. So when we have this idea, this belief that we have a life mission, that we're supposed to be here for a specific purpose, and if we don't do it, oh my, what's going to happen? We are literally buying into a belief system that may or may not serve us. When we feel what our experience is, it's really source in the self. It's source experiencing, more and more experience. When we allow ourselves to say, what do I want my experience to be? Sometimes it can appear like a life's purpose. Like, I know my passion is teaching metaphysics, teaching quantum physics, dismantling beliefs, 24/7. I just never want to stop. I don't feel like I need to take a vacation. But at the same time, if I couldn't do that, say there were no people to talk to, what would that be for me inside myself? It would be about dismantling belief systems for myself. So it's a day-to-day experience, and it can shift and change dependent upon what's going on in your life. You might begin to feel like you want to, like the lady with the elephant. I want to work with the elephant. Well, perhaps that turns into, I want to start changing the way zoos treat elephants. You know, it doesn't have to be Africa. It sort of segues into whatever detour or path it wants to take, and yet you can always feel if you give yourself that silent time whether you're on track or not, because it'll feel right. You'll always know when you're on track. It feels right. Like, yes, go in this direction.
What I hear you saying, too, which I think is really important in these times of change, is that if you're not on track for this big life purpose, you know, going to Africa to work with elephants or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It really is about the moment, because in tuning in with what's right for you now, because that will lead you to where you want to be. Is that what you're saying? And there's so much change happening, we can't call it.
And that's why at the conference that I'm putting on, Summit 2012 Beyond Chaos, I'm advertising it as saying we're going to go to a place that is incomprehensible. And a lady said, well, what does that mean? I said, well, incomprehensible means you can't comprehend it. You can't think of it because we haven't been there before. And because the brain-mind complex is always looking for the familiar, and when it sees something that's unfamiliar, it gets scared. We pull away from things that are not familiar to us. So if I say it's incomprehensible, it means it cannot be familiar because we have not experienced this yet. Therefore, are you willing to open your imagination, your image screen, to what is possible for humanity? What is really possible?
For humanity, for ourselves, for humanity, beyond comprehension. So you mentioned your conference. Tell me when that is.
It's September 16th to 18th. It's in St. George, Utah, at the Green Valley Spa and Hotel, which is a venue beyond words. We went there last month. Oh, and met with everybody and checked it out. And I've been told how wonderful it was. Oh my gosh, there is absolutely everything there, from allopathic doctors to drumming reflexology, you name it. It is a holistic center, huge. It takes up a whole hill in St. George that holds holistic oneness for whatever is going on in your life, be it physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. It doesn't make any difference. There's a practitioner there for you. And they have a conference room with lounge chairs and a huge screen. So all you do is you plug into the screen. You don't even need a projector. I mean, everything's been thought of.
I've heard that about St. George, that it is such a great place to go if you're interested in living a holistic life and want to get some healing. So it's fabulous that you're having the conference there. For people to find out more about the conference, they can go to youaresacred.com, and that's actually spelling it out, youaresacred.com. For people that can't go to the conference, the book is called The Call, Awakening the Angelic Human, which I love. It's a great book, and you talk a lot about dimensions and consciousness, and there's no such thing as, third dimension. Leave us on a note about the dimension piece, because I think that's so fascinating. How can we get out? I think we feel trapped. So often in our busy lives, we feel trapped in the reality of our busyness and what is, and we yearn for this place of expansion into other dimensions. Help us get there.
Okay. The first thing you want to understand is that a dimension is a frequency. It isn't a place. You don't get on a plane and go to the fifth dimension. I'm going to Greece or something. It is a frequency that, of a wavelength. And this is the secret in this spending quiet time alone. When you allow yourself to be quiet and alone, you can literally slip into other areas of experience that are literally other dimensions. Think about, for instance, when you are meditating or when you're just falling asleep, how you're in that kind of no man's land, if you would, of ease and grace. That is available to you if you will give yourself the time to open to experiencing it. All you have to do is place your attention upon it. All you have to do is let go and relax, and you begin to feel that you're no longer quite here. That's why I say it's addictive, because once you get used to doing it, it's not just about sitting there and being quiet. It's about feeling how you slip away from feeling like we're trapped, because we're really not. That's a concept that we have in these bodies. And yet these bodies are literally, and this is part of what I explain in my metaphysics classes, and we're going to touch on it at the summit, our bodies are actually vortexes of energetic information that say, if you will simply slow down, stop thinking, I will take you somewhere else. And we just simply need to make the time to do that. And yet no one ever teaches that in the schools, or nobody promotes that, in day-to-day, in the busy lives we lead. So that is the invitation that I give to the viewers.
It keeps coming back to the quiet time, and you would probably agree with me that quiet time can be held in meditation, or in a walking meditation, or in quiet time with a colored pencil, but it needs to be quiet, non-thinking time. And I remember, our grandmothers used to knit, and it's a very contemplative distraction from the world, where you unconnect from your busyness of your mind and just go into a deeper place. It all comes back to it, doesn't it, Toni?